Welcome back. Part 2 of my forget-me-nots. I've started to stitch down the petals. I'm just using a machine embroidery thread. It's a polyester shiny thing, but it's fine, so I thought it would do. I decided to put just a little stitch every now and then in the petals to hold them down. In my previous video I wasn't 100% sure what I was going to do with that, but yep, I've stitched down those ones, that one, and I'm just doing these now prior to doing the green embroidery thread. So yep, I'm not sure when you'll see these videos. As I'm going away in December, I'm doing these in advance. This month of December with the Botanical Beauties was a free choice, and I decided that I wanted to do forget-me-nots. I'm not sure yet what the other ladies are going to do because, as I said, this is being filmed in advance. So I've done part 1 where I dyed some of the fabric, and this is me finishing it off. So this one will possibly be slightly shorter video than the first one, but who knows, we can sit and have a little chat. We're at the end of our day today. Done things like gardening and cooking and videoing. Yeah, and just thought this was a good opportunity to get a couple of things in advance. We've got a family gathering this weekend, so the weekend will be out for me, and then it's only just over another week before we go away, so I wanted to get my act into gear. I hope you're all doing well. We all are. It's, the year has just come to a crashing almost end. I can't believe that we're almost in December, and by the time you see this we will be. We've been doing this project for a year, and that just feels like 5 minutes ago when we started, so I can't believe that we're on the last prompt. We've had 12. I haven't videoed all of mine because I didn't have a channel, and I didn't do that until halfway through the year. So while you've seen, or you may have seen, some of my videos doing the Botanical Beauties pages, yeah, not all of them were part of my collection of videos, but I'm here now. So I'm really happy with how this cheesecloth painted up. I painted it with acrylic paints and well watered down. I talked about the fact in the previous video to this that so long as you water them down well, the fabric maintains its integrity. Otherwise you would end up with something very stiff if you didn't water it down well. But yeah, I think this worked out quite well with the cheesecloth. It's stiffer than normal cheesecloth. Normal cheesecloth's probably a little bit softer, but boy, not much. And this has turned out really well. I'm like pleasantly surprised. I'm just doing random stitches throughout these petals, more to hold them down and protect them than really anything else. And because this polyester thread, rayon type thread, is very fine because it's a machine thread. You can barely see it, so I'm happy with the result of that. Yeah, so that's me. I don't know what else I can tell you other than this is where we're at. Sorry, I just raised you up because I realised just about had my fingers on your nose. I'm going to keep going with this and then I'll be ready to embroider. I'm quite happy with the fact I painted some of it in that sort of mulberry colour really. When I looked at the forget-me-nots in the garden and some pictures of forget-me-nots, because I thought, oh, maybe they come in different colours. I better check out what forget-me-nots really do. But it was my garden that inspired me to do this because I was so excited to have them growing in my garden after so many years that I just felt like I really wanted to do them. They're such a pretty little flower. They're so precise. You know, the tiniest little dot of a flower, and yet every detail is so crystal clear on them. It's incredible, isn't it, what nature can do? I'm getting in a bit of a tangle here. So yeah, so the sort of pinky purpley colours are what's underneath the petals. Their buds tend to be a mauvey colour prior to them opening, none of which I really knew till I started to investigate. It's amazing through this whole project, we've almost come experts on flowers. You know, there's so many of the flowers that I looked into when I was working on each one and finding out so much about them. It's incredible. Almost become experts. Sorry, you're getting all of this black-eyed Susan, but it's just because it's on the page beside it. Just get rid of these little pins. I felt like the petals needed a bit of holding in place while I did all of this, screwed it up in my hand, and to get it stitched down. I think the cheesecloth, the way it frays, is quite a nice finish for this. I wanted it to be quite abstract and a bit, funny word, but arty, rather than an actual forget-me-not, which, as I said a minute ago, they're so precise in their petal shapes. Trying to reproduce that is more than I'm probably capable of. I put a photo in my last video of the ones that are in my garden. They're so cute. They're so cute. They're growing underneath my blueberries at the minute, and I'm sure they'll continue to spread. They have lots of seeds, and I know that if I leave them alone, I'll have them probably more than I want. But right now, I'm enjoying the fact that they're actually there. So, yep. Cool. So what are you up to? Are you doing the Botanical Beauties project, or did you skip this one? It's been good. I've enjoyed it because, what I've done throughout the project is actually, just checking that one's in, is actually tried out a number of different techniques on each of the pages so that each of the flowers almost have a different treatment. And I've enjoyed that. I've done a lot of fabric painting, which has given me an outlet for that as a purpose. I've always been interested in colouring fabric, creating my own fabrics rather than just depending on pre-printed fabrics. I like creating a range of techniques and different things to create texture and interest. And yeah, this is certainly given me that opportunity. Sorry, these threads are so fine. They're sometimes hard to get off the reel. I'm still using this, I think it's a straw needle. It's kind of like very straight with a very little eye, but it's nice and sharp. And because it's straight, it doesn't have a lot of bulk, so I'm not creating massive holes in the fabric. If I could get it threaded, it'd be even better. There we go. Cool. So as soon as I finish this one, I'll start on the centres and then the greenery that's around it. And yeah, I'm just taking tiny little stitches, gathering, sort of just giving the fabric a bit of a tweak here and there just to give it a bit of a shape and a bit of interest. Rather than just being sort of flat. I didn't really want that look. I would prefer, I wanted the petals to be a bit curled, and that was why I wasn't quite sure about whether I should actually stitch them or not, because I thought if I stitch them down flat, I'm going to lose the petal shape of them. I'm going to lose that pin. So yeah, I just had to sort of really think about, and so how I'm stitching it, you can almost hardly see the stitch. It just buries itself in within the cheesecloth, so it's good. Yep. I'm carrying the thread a fair distance behind, but then just doing those tiny little stitches to help hold it in place. I wonder what you'll all do for your last flower. Will you follow what Corinne and Susanna are doing? As I said, I'm doing this in advance, so I'm not entirely sure what their final flower will be. But as soon as I heard that it was a free choice, straight away these forget-me-nots were just in my head, and I thought I need to have a go at this. And I'd seen something once before with these, sort of using the gauze cheesecloth. Well, it is like gauze, same sort of difference, I suppose. In a painterly way, and thought, I'd like to have a go at that. Let's see if I can. You never have there's not a pattern or anything. It's just trying to interpret something. In that fashion, and just knowing vaguely what a forget-me-not looks like. I mean, 40,000 times bigger than what they really are, but it's all right. It's just in proportion to this page, really. I'm quite happy trying to think of something that's not too realistic. There's a lot of times in my work that it does look realistic, but this was not going to be one of them. All right, they're all done. I'll get the green going. Try and do this in one hit. I'm not always the fastest stitcher in the world, but trying to complete this for you now. Whether or not we come to a grinding halt, I don't know. I'm going to still go with this green thread that I used for these stitches in the background, but I'm going to use two strands instead of the one because I just used a single strand here. Oh, does it need even more than one? How many have I got here? Maybe it needs that many. Might need 3. I don't know how many there is. Oh, there's 4. 4 seems like to be a lot, but I reckon. Oh no, I'm never going to thread that needle. What was I even thinking? Goodness gracious. That was never going to happen. I might try this one. It's a cotton darner. I got these at a retreat with Corinne and I love them. They're straight. They've got a fairly decent eye. They come in different sizes and they're sharp. All good things to have in a needle. All good things. But I've got to get 4 strands of embroidery thread in there. Oh, yep, I did it. Look at that. Gosh, I don't even know where my thimble is. God, the other day I did a video and I'm looking everywhere for my thimble and it was on my finger. Oh, how embarrassing is that? Gosh, can't even tell you. Oh, I don't know where the thimble is. It's somewhere. Feels like it should be reasonably close. And it is. Wasn't on my finger, but it was reasonably close. Oh, felt so silly. And then tried to edit the video. For some funny reason, it just added it. Great. All right, so this is going to be, just like the end of the flower was my thought about that. So I just thought if I just add, I've sort of just scrunched it up, but I thought if I just add some straight stitches, that might just give it a bit of, I don't want to embroider the whole thing, but I need to hold it down prior to doing the yellow stamens or whatever they are, the centre of the flower. And this is a variegated thread, so I'll get lots of colour in it. What I might need to do, just to give myself some direction, is to draw a line where this one's going to go. So I'll find a pen that is... Oh, sorry, my arms. There's my arm right over there. Oh, and then I didn't get it. I'm just trying to get the pen there. That will iron out. Because this one's up so high, I think it just needs to have, some direction. And this one might be the same. And then just so long as I'm, stitching, it's a bit tricky. Gosh, I'm going to have to, I didn't think of that. I'm going to have to iron the pen away, but I can't hit this fabric. Whew, I need to remember not to do that because it's got that scarf over it, that nylon scarf, and it'll just melt. Oh yeah, good. All right, well, didn't think of that when I was doing it. Never mind. All right. So, but it's just given me a visual of a line that's going to make sense. So I'm going to do a stem stitch, fairly decent size one because I want it to go straightish. All right, I bury it in under there. Whoop. Now I might not do it quite that big. It's a bit big. Oh, didn't have you quite in the right place, did I? All right, so this one is going to come down through here. Oh, bother. And the thread came unthreaded. Bother, bother. Good. And it's 4 strands. I've just got to remember that too. But having those lines just helps me to think about the direction of the, you know, the little flower stem, rather than just a random one. Do I like those? This one's messy here. Yes, I just unthreaded it. This one was a bit off, I think. Let's have another go at that. That's all right there, but I wasn't very happy with this one. And it's going to come down like through there. All right. Let's see how we go. Is it going to be a challenge, or if I cut them all off at the same length, that might help. Once upon a time I used to say it was my superpower, threading a needle, but it's not always. All right, I think let's go, which one am I going? This one. Maybe a little smaller than what I had, which will just make it a little bit neater. Yeah, that's a bit better. I don't know, went off a bit. I've got too big an angle before. Maybe if I cover them with enough thread, I might not have to iron them out. It's just that that nylon scarf will just melt. As soon as the iron hits it, that will be the end of it. And I remembered as soon as I started stitching that it was even there. Now, what does that look like? It's not quite on the right angle. Oh yeah, that one's got to go there. It didn't look right to start with. That's why I did those lines, so that I could determine where to go with them. So what I'm doing is taking it forward and back to where the previous stitch ended. And that's given me a neat stem stitch. Oh, once upon a time I could not do this. I used to get it, I probably still do. Don't always get it neat. and I fight with it because I go, should the thread go under the needle, over the needle, which way should the thread go? I don't know, and I end up in a muddle. All right, I'm going to end this thread off, and then I'll get some yellow thread to do the centres. It would be good if I had a variegated one. Wonder if I do. Might have to go for a bit of a look for that. All right, we're nearly there. Just coming under these. So I need, this is just sort of a bit of, sorry, my husband's playing some funny thing on the telly, I think. All right, I'm going to finish that off, and then I'm going to go and find, if I can find a variegated yellow. I don't know if I do, but if I don't, then I might try and mix some, colours together so that I can get a variegated look. So I'll be back shortly, but that's where I'm up to so far, and that's how I wanted it to look. Cool. Okay, so I've found some threads. I'm sorry, that black-eyed Susan really is distracting, isn't it? I found some threads. I found some oranges and a bright yellow. And what I've decided at the minute, I've got sort of two different ones. I'll have a think about whether or not I want to add. I'll see what these ones look like. So I've got two of each colour, two of the bright yellow and two of the bright orange. And then I'll make a decision as to whether it needs some darker bits in there as well. But they do have a very bright yellow centre. Forget-me-nots. And these two happen to be almost the same length. So that was something. Who would have known? Not me. I just got them out of where I had them in amongst other things. Okay, so I just thought this is sort of a petal that's coming like this way, and these ones are going that way. So the I want to do I might try colonial knot and then see how I go with that. I want to build them up. Yeah, I think a colonial knot for this size flower is probably good. So I wonder if everybody will have something different to show with their December flower, or whether people will still get their inspiration from Corinne and Susanna with what they're doing. As I said, I don't know what they're doing yet, because it's still in November. But that's okay. I'm just being organised, that's all, because I think for about more than 10 days I will be offline. I won't be videoing. We're going to New South Wales and spending some time with Paul's family that live there, and then going on to do the course with Rachel and Sarah, and so I wouldn't be videoing while we're doing that, and then we've still got to get home. Probably 7 hours, I think, drive from our place to there, but we're going further north, so we're doing that first. All right. Well, that looks all right. You know, I don't know whether I wanted it to look quite so rounded. I'll put another one over here. As I said, I'm trying to keep this slightly abstract because this is just inspiration from Forget-Me-Nots. Cool. All right. I think what I'm going to do is actually still use that dark one, and I just want to add some dark in there. Goodness, can't cut it. So yeah, I still want a bit of that, and I'm even thinking even some white. So I'm going to play with that for a second. I might do one with you guys, and then how many did I say? 4, 2, 4. Yeah, I just thought, a couple of little white dots would be good too, just where the light's hitting it. So a couple of darker ones. So I thought the darker ones would look better sort of at the base. In there. And maybe sort of like in amongst here somewhere. Yeah, I mean the Forget-Me-Nots have only got a tiny weeny little yellow centre, but this has got to look still a bit in proportion. I mean, they're probably no bigger than one French knot, really. One more. And then some white. I wonder where there's some white. I don't think that it's right within arm reach. All right. Yeah, that looks good. Now, let me just see if I can just quickly see some white. Is there any in here? There's not going to be. 1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry, just not quite within arm reach. I might not. This is coming off as 2. Let's just go with 2 for now, and I can always double if it's just not quite enough, but just for convenience, 2 might actually be better than the 4, because I just want them to sort of stand out as a as a highlight, really. Maybe one in here. Yeah. Let's put one here. Yeah, I think 2 is actually quite a good size to do. All right. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm happy with the look of how that's going. I've got a bit of work to do here, and I'll come back to you shortly when I'm ready to do the, you know, this base bit here, I'll whiz back and talk to you again. Okay, well, I'm nearly done with this. I just wanted to come back and just give you those couple of extra little details. I've finished doing all the centres of the flowers, done their stalks, but it just sort of felt like there was a bit of a gap here. And so I've added one little bloom in here, and I'm going to add another one in there, and I'll just show you what I did. So I've got that mulberry purpley colour under the blue, and I just cut a little circle out. So it was going to be very, you know, I don't know what to say about it. Rough-handed, casual. It's just kind of making a square into a circle without having an actual template on it. And then I'm just going to squish it in the middle, kind of like that, and stitch it in here. I already have a needle and thread organised. It's got that blue, you know, machine embroidery thread. It's probably Madeira brand. I couldn't think of that before. Yep. So I just thought I'll just show you what I'm doing. It just sort of felt like needed a little bit more. I don't know where I really want it. Just kind of like maybe there. And so all I've done is I've got it folded. Yay. I folded those silly black-eyed Susans over so it didn't distract you, and then I went through all layers. Crazy. Yeah. So then I'll do the last bit of greenery. This is just going to be a trickster. And I've just remembered that I needed to turn my phone on to silent, because always, as soon as I start recording, something happens. Doesn't happen all morning while I'm doing housework and cooking and gardening and any of those things. No, it doesn't ring at all, doesn't make a sound. But the minute I turn the video on, all the world goes silly. So yeah, so as you can see, I'm just kind of squishing it. I'm not going to bother putting centres in it. I'm just trying to make it look a bit like a bud, or you know, the back of a flower maybe, or I'm just adding a bit more colour there more than anything else. Crazy. There's a petal there from the other flower. Just making sure I'm not going to catch it. Good. It's just, you know, it's just a little bit of a messy stitch really, just to try and add those colours in there that I know form part of those flowers. Wondering if I even need another one. You know, 4 is kind of like a funny number, isn't it? Let's have another one. Oh, here comes Paul, making a giant noise. Just coming in the door very loudly. The sign wasn't on. Well, sorry, but it's happening, so a little quieter voice would be great. Now let me just think about where I want this one. Do I want it in there? Just felt like, I don't know, or up here. Let me think about it. Oh, maybe up there. Yeah, okay, maybe up there. The thread is still attached to the needle. If I need another green stalk in there, I'll put one in there. I'll show you in a minute where I've sort of got my basic inspiration from, because it does, you know, when things like this are happening, you go, yeah, but how did you know where to put what, and what are you doing, and where did it come from? And that doesn't make sense. But when you see the photograph from the garden, it does make sense. And I've taken a photo of a photo and then, you know, zoomed in a bit. Including the green leaves, you know, for such teeny tiny flowers. They've got ridiculous sized leaves, like, you know, giant leaves. They're crazy. Crazy. Okay, I'll cut this one off. I'm done with that, I think, now. Don't need any more of that. Sorry, that orange thing is so distracting. And they won't be sitting beside each other when, you know, when they're in the book, thank goodness. All right, so, you know, here they are in my garden. These ridiculously big leaves, but these clusters of tiny little flowers. So that's kind of where I was thinking I was going, were, you know, clusters of flowers rather than one single solitary flower. There is another one here. And these giant leaves. Silly things. So these big leaves coming up from the bottom here maybe. That's kind of where I was headed with this. Giant leaves. Cool. All right, so just so you know, just giving you a basic, you know, bit of information of how I got to where I've got to. All right, so I'm just going to just add a bit of random stitching on this green. I didn't want to make it a major production. Like I said, they're just giant leaves that are growing up the plant, and I thought if I just added them here at the base, kind of was going to give the plant a bit of grounding. Without being really anything in particular. It's not supposed to be representational of exact leaves, but I thought it would look good with this bit of big greenery down the bottom here, rather than giant leaves up the plant. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's about it. This video is that little bit shorter, but I think you've probably seen enough, and I'll put a photo of the finished one, the finished page, in the thumbnail. Sorry, I'm looking down and talking. It's really one of those funny things when you're trying to stitch and concentrate and record at the same time. It's a bit odd. Cool. I'm going to come up here. This was kind of like the very edge of the cheesecloth that dyed like that, and as I was ripping it up I thought, oh, that's really cool, that bit of edging on the cheesecloth. That's sort of given this a bit of an edging. And I reverted back to 3 strands. I thought the 4 was a bit excessive, not necessary. 3 was plenty. It's a bit more economical on the thread too. Could just split the 6 strands in half. All right, I'm going to finish that one there, but I'm going to take this one here as a separate. I don't really mind if it's not fully caught down, but I don't want it pulling off. You know, it is supposed to be some sort of leaf, I think. Come on, get over there, you. Maybe that will do. I'm just even thinking whether that thread's a bit thick. It's not too terrible. Alrighty, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to play around with it. And I have to just have a little think about whether that thread is a bit thick on there, and maybe go back to 2 strands. I think it probably needs something thinner. That's all right. You can see this when it's done in the thumbnail. Okie doke. Thank you for joining me. Hope you liked my change of pace here for my last one, and I'm hoping that you're all having some lovely family time and enjoying this season. Okay, bye for now. The single thread was way better. And so, yeah, I'm done. I hope that's something that you might be interested in. And really and truly, this is goodbye now. Okay, catch you again in my next video. Bye for now.